The September raid, which is the final garrison raid and therefore the final Snapjaw raid for this cycle, is here, and I want to go through the 105 target for as low repair as I can with an X1 fleet. Now I am using a steelhead screw, which you can see here, and I only have an X1 fleet because Cap 1 of course exists right now. The interesting thing about Cap 1 is if you don't get the flagship to Cap 1 and get a regular ship instead, it actually hurts the performance of your fleet for the King Killer and Evade combination that we're seeing here. I did have a video on my channel last month. It's worth a watch if you're interested in that. What I want to do in this particular video is go through the path, which is generally agnostic of any particular target, fleet setup, and go through the way I'm getting the best results in this target, which is to start out with, just getting into the minimum range of both of these mortars. If you want to find the minimum range of the mortars, all you have to do is shift-click one, and then hover over the other one, which I've done a few times in practice on this one right here. What I want to do is get into range of the icebreaker here as quickly as possible and get this guy down. Once the icebreaker is down, now you can start to strategize about the best way to take down each of these particular turret clusters. There's a few different ways, including for the one I'm highlighting right here. You could come up from the bottom. What I prefer to do in this particular case is come around from the outside and stay moving at maximum range. If you do that, there is less damage from the, although maybe not completely zero damage, less damage from the rockets. Now for the one in the center here that I'm hovering over, I actually have a different approach on that one, but before I get this one I have to come back and sort of engage with the top of the target. The best thing I found for this one is also kind of to eat the damage from this one. Just stay moving here and stay out of range of everything else, and this guy should only shoot at you once, maybe twice if you have some weapons that are not quite all the way upgraded, which is the case I am unfortunately dealing with. I even have some regular blueprint weapons, not even the basic tier limited weapons on this fleet. Go ahead and get close to the purple building and kill that one. You should outrange everything in this particular section, or it's the missile, which the King Killer effectively mitigates almost all of the damage from. The turret on the right, what I want to do against this guy is use the missile turret right here to, again, very, very slowly get close to him and use that missile turret to bounce splash damage off onto the garrison turret, so the garrison one should never fire at you. Let's go ahead and loop up and grab the, just random junk like the cold snap and some other stuff. Try and use the short range turret right here to bounce some damage off of and stay moving if you can. You can't totally avoid all the damage from these rocket guys at the top, but you can avoid most of it if you, again, stay moving. For the icebreaker, just stay at max range and you'll generally be fine. The bottom cluster right here, I'm going to have to eat damage from these two. I haven't found a good way to avoid that. Maybe you can use the ice wall right here to block out like one shot, and when he's reloading, kind of hop in there. But again, I haven't found too much success with those ones. Once these three are down, I'm going to loop up to the left and use the ice wall in the very center of your screen right here to block the two other cold snaps, which are not really standard cold snaps. They're another sort of frostbite turret or whatever, but you can use the mountain to block all the damage from those ones. Now we get down to the missile turret right here, short range guy. There's a garrison turret, rocket one, right next to him, but the bigger threat is the mortar turret and the UAV. You definitely do not want to get range of the UAV, otherwise you will know it. What I want to do against this one is get close enough to do some damage and kill out basically everything on the platform. I always have to come back for the UAV turret and occasionally one or two of the other ones next to it, which is fine. Again, just really make sure you are never going close to range of the UAV. I like to stop and inch my way forward because it does do quite a lot of damage to you. Now, one tip you can have is if it does fire at you and you're kind of in the middle away from everything, is you can split your ship off ships apart, send one to the right, one to the left, one down, etc. That way it can't chain onto everything else. For the center turret cluster right here, you can actually use the mountains here to block out the damage from the one on the right, and that blocks the one on the top as well. Unfortunately, you kind of just have to eat the damage from this guy at the top because your range is not quite enough to really prevent that in its entirety. Now, I'll show my build in a second here, but the build has adjusted to have mostly X armor on here rather than M armor, because basically all the missile damage is only going to the flagship and it's almost all evaded. The vast majority of the damage here is explosive damage from the rockets, which is most easily mitigated by either speed and then just reduced rather by some of the explosive plates. You can see that the explosive percent resisted and taken is a combined 33%, whereas penetrative combined resisted and taken is 3%, otherwise known as super, super low. Taking a look at the actual fleet, you can see, look at that, 24 minutes, 59 seconds, and you could kind of call this instant repair. The reality is the flag has a little bit more damage than everything else because all of the missile is just focusing directly onto this one, and it probably has 8 minutes of repair, and the other 4 ships are probably at 3 or 4 minutes each. And again, this is the most important build on here. The rest is pretty standard. I do have a mix of legendary, non-legendary, a mix of regular weapons, upgraded weapons, and so it's not an entirely complete fleet, and it's not all up to cap 1. And again, the flagship is the first one you should do to cap 1. If you can't do the flag to cap 1 and you're following the general build advice I give with having an evade flag, you probably should not do any of them. Otherwise, at this point, you can see this guy's at 56 million health. A cap 1 ship right now would be pretty similar, 56 million health, and the missiles would split 50-50 between my ship with 96% evade and my ship with probably more like 50%. I guess if I look at defense, it's 65%. It's actually still pretty bad. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll do my best to get back to you. At this time, I want to give a huge thank you to the channel members who are helping support, and you can see more by clicking the join button below. They help make videos like this one coming out the same day of the raid possible. With that said, until next time, this is Derpy signing out, helping you be a better pirate.